The sublime stroll on there from the fantastic Mutemath from the new album Play Dead, which is out September the 8th. Not long now till that is streaming and buyable and downloadable everywhere. I had the pleasure of meeting main man Paul Meany from the band last week on the opening night of the European tour, which was expected to be an exciting time for the band. As I said, they were new album Play Dead on the way, album number 5 by the way, and they've been gearing for this new album, new tour, anticipation, building for it. And then a couple of weeks prior to that, the announcement that Darren, drummer, had left the band. And now Darren, if you don't know, is like one of the founding members of Mutemath with Paul, and he's not just any old drummer, he's an extraordinary drummer, so it came as a little bit of a shock. So fans, Mutemath fans around the world were a little bit concerned how this was all going to play out, as Paul announced he was going to do his utmost to bring the tour. But I felt a little bit sorry for Paul because, you know, before a world tour, he was spending a week with his family before going on this monster tour, and having to go back into rehearsals as he called upon one of his former band members, David Hutchinson, known as The Hutch. He had played with bass player Jonathan and Paul before, but still a massive feat to fill those shoes and pull that all together so quickly. So pre-London Islington show, I had the pleasure of meeting this man, Paul Meany. New album, first night of the European tour. What can we expect, Paul?
I think there's definitely this new excitement going into this. You know, the guys in the band, this is, you know, be the drummer's first show with us. I'd say one of the exciting moments was bringing this opportunity to him about a month ago. He's been a paramedic for the past 15 years. And I had played in one of my first bands with him, and I always knew he was a fantastic drummer. He got away from it. And it was a long shot. I wasn't sure if he'd be interested in filling in some very big shoes on the drums. And he started tearing up, and it was a very redemptive moment to where I felt like he was able to step into an opportunity that he regrettably had walked away from a long time ago. And so this was this chance of just redemption and just to do shows together again. And he had been playing with the bass player in a bunch of bands, and always hoped that something would work out to be able to just have a little chapter in his life, one more chapter in his life where we could just go hit the road and make some music. And so the culmination of a month of this redemptive rehearsal and trying to save a tour, it kind of starts tonight. So it's an exciting feeling. We're scared to death, but we're very, very excited about this. So I think a lot of that, there's a sort of subconscious energy brewing in what's going on that I'm really excited to unleash tonight.
Well, that was my next question. Are you nervous or excited? I know you're from New Orleans, and the fabric is, you cats can just pick up something and go with it. Like we did a show at Tippertina's, and I was shit scared because we were electronic and all these great musicians around us. And John Will Shorty said to me, "Just do your thing, and they will appreciate it."
Yeah,
you know. And I'd never been scared, but I was scared because it was in New Orleans. So are you? You know, is it scared or is it exciting?
Well, I'm focused more on the excitement part of it. Yeah, certainly there is a bit of fear. I mean, this is going to be the first show that I've ever done without my band brother on the other side of the stage, you know. And so yeah, I mean, there's some nerves involved in that, but at the end of the day, I'm really confident the guys who are there, and more grateful than ever before. So yeah, we're just gonna hope for the best, but we're not holding back at all tonight. We're gonna put the show on its head.
Well, with the set, is it fundamentally going to be the new album Play Dead, or will it be a mixture of?
It is a mixture. We're doing a lot from Play Dead, but yeah, we're kind of, because we have 5 albums now.
Yeah.
So we're trying to take a taste of each and make something new, special tonight.
Well, going back to the beginning, my mum asked me this question: where did the name come from? because I said to you off before I was in hospital, come out, and I was making my mum watch Mutemath at festivals.
Right.
Mutemath, she said, where does the name come from?
Yeah, I think when me and Darren first started making tracks together, we called it Math. We were producing tracks for people and remixes, and we just called it Math. And through the process of becoming a band, Darren had made this email address. He was Mutemath at Yahoo or whatever. And we liked it. Like Mutemath. We didn't want to call ourselves Math to be a band. And so Mutemath, but we liked the idea of it. So yeah, Mutemath just kind of hit us subconsciously. We're like, yeah, I like that. Kind of feels like a reminder to stop overthinking so much, which is what our band had been about. So we went with it.
Oh, speaking about overthinking, my mum said, because she watches me and she was watching you, just watching you, I think, on putting joyrides together on the session. She
you want to see some overthinking.
She said, I thought there was only you that was like that. She said, I've never seen anybody more dedicated to overthinking a song.
Yeah.
But we'd just finished an album and Vitals come out, and this is no word of a lie, it reinvigorated me to jump back in the studio, because the dedication and the production on that album, it is a masterclass. Now, I don't know how you had those 80s sounds, but they sound dirty. And the only other band I've come close to that, but it's not as polished as Phoenix. And I'm guessing this new album is produced by yourselves. I'm going to push back a track a bit. I've loved all your work with Vitals, just blew me away. How did you come to that decision to make an album like that? Because I know this Play Dead's in between Vitals, or written at the same time.
Right.
Was Play Dead kind of, this is a little bit just not right at this moment, and how did you separate the two? Go, that's Vitals, that's going to be Play Dead in 5 years.
Yeah, no. Well, at the time, and it's a good question. I kind of wondered that looking back, because it wasn't a conscious decision as we were going, we're going to hold these off for an album that will follow. It just kind of happened that way. But the songs that we were writing right after Odd Soul, that wound up being for Play Dead, at the time felt like Odd Soul B-sides. It was like we hadn't quite cut open a new artery of creativity for ourselves, and just felt like we were kind of rehashing some leftovers. And we knew they were good ideas, but we were out of gas on how to develop them, how exactly to write them, and the only thing we were moved by was trying something completely different. And so Odd Soul, which was a very indulgent album and was a new thing for us at the time, very blues riffy oriented, just a jam session, a 60-minute jam session for drums and bass. And we wanted to do something very opposite of that, which was a more disciplined approach to groove and to see how many notes we could get away with not playing. That's what Vitals was about. And so it gave the synths a chance to step up. I think Roy was coming into a particular voice as a guitarist, and the idea of the guitar becoming the rhythm section with the drums as opposed to the bass, which we had always done, and Roy just taking his prowess to the guitar was a very inspiring idea for us. And so then it gave room to synth bass, and Todd's a great synth player, and so we just found a lot of inspiration in that. We just started writing, and that became Vitals. That's what we were more moved at. And so then after Vitals, we were craving something that was a little more reminiscent of, now we wanted to see how many notes we could get away with actually playing. Like as much as we could throw at an idea, we were inspired about. No fill left behind. No chord. Every chord we knew, every harmony stack we wanted to try. That's what Play Dead became about. And so I think as a result, I think Play Dead really represents the full spectrum of a lot of what we've tried over the past 4 albums, and as we've come into our own as producers and songwriters, the culmination of it became Play Dead.
Well, in the notes, that's what I put. I thought if that album had come first and then Vitals, it's like, where'd you go from there? Whereas this album, Love Child of Armistice and Odd Soul, with Vitals doing the mixing.
Right.
And I thought, I've listened to it twice on the way down today, and I'm blown away by it. You know what I mean? And I've said as well, I'm a fan. So yeah, there's an excitement there listening to the album. But to me, it sounds like, without being disrespectful, Mutemath have found their sound. You know what I mean? This is 100% Mutemath. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's exactly how I felt.
And Break Fever, I was just like that. if there's a rate, I mean, with my head of radio, if there was a single, a band, you didn't do it with Best of Intentions, which was disappointed. I was like, that's got to be a single, because everybody I played it to that's not indulgent with music, who just like it passing, used to say to me, who's that? And he said, Mutemath. And I was like, oh, that's really cool, that, you know what I mean? And I heard Breakthrough this one, and I was like, oh my god, what a song. You know, it's a top song. So I mean, I'm guessing you feel proud with the new album.
I really do. It was like you said, it felt like everyone was firing on all cylinders. Everyone was like stepping into their best that they've ever done. You know, it was like some of Darren's best drumming, Roy's best playing and production, Todd, his best writing and contribution, and just, it felt like the whole band was finally firing on all cylinders, which was really exciting. And it made the process less laborious than it had been. You know, there wasn't a lot of don't do this or don't do that in the production. This was the only album we didn't have an outside collaborator on. We did everything for every song, and by that, just from engineering, mixing, writing, producing, putting it together in the end. So everyone felt quite a degree of ownership and responsibility to, I don't know, bring in their best, because we had to and wanted to, you know. And yeah, it really resulted in an album that we're all extremely proud of. And so it was important to me, man. I want to give this thing a chance to like live on stage. Well, so that's why we're here tonight.
You know, Play Dead. Where did you record it? In New Orleans?
Well, half of it was done in New Orleans, and then the other half of it was done remotely. We took a lot of the demos. This is what we had. We had 30 demos, and each of us in the band, we said, just pick your favorite 3 or 4 that you feel that you can make work and like produce out to a degree. And so what that did, that freed us up from the democratic process of hearing demos and going, I like that, no, but I don't like it, and waiting for all 4 of us to get behind a demo. And we gave each other space. And I don't think that would have worked on album 3 or album 4. I think it was the trust that we had built through making so many records together, that if Roy stood up and said, I really believe in this song and I know what to do with it, I'd be like, okay, we'll take it and bring your idea to fruition. And each of us did that with the 3 or 4 songs that we really liked. And we got it at least to a place where we could each make an argument to everyone else that this is good, right? And it worked. The 3 and 4 that each of us picked wound up being the foundation of Play Dead, with an exception of a few that got cut. But yeah, the 10 songs that we recorded, there was no leftovers really. Then we got together one more time in Nashville with the final 10 ideas and finished putting the puzzle together. So it was it was a really fun process. It was really nice.
It seems like it's come very quick, you know, from Vitals to Changes to, you know, because you don't know the Mutemath, it takes you wait a while for an album.
Right.
You know I mean? Well, no, I'm not saying why, because it's 5 and 12 years really, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it's
usually every 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, but this has come very quick. It's 2015 Vitals and then Changes, so we've been spoiled. So was that because it was easy? It felt not easy in the sense that this pressure was off, you were just like doing your thing.
That's really what it was. We didn't second guess ourselves much. All we wanted to do was make a record that we thought sounded sick. That was it.
You've achieved it.
Well, thank you, man. Yeah, there was no rules. There was no checklists of other people who had to sign off on it. As long as the 4 of us were moved by what we were hearing, we were done. And you know, I've spent a lot of time over the years second guessing a lot of lyric writing, or what exactly should the vocals do, and then I think over criticize it too much within the band, and we would just get into rewrite after rewrite which Vitals was an example of. And this time we're just like, let's just not do that. You know, it's not like we just want to phone in garbage, but let's trust our instincts a little more. Maybe the first thing that comes up
is the best.
It's the best thing. Yeah. And we'll do maybe a revision or 2, but we're not going to get bogged down in it.
So about a year ago, I was going through some of the archive recording sessions that we did at Oak Street, and I happened upon this idea called Roy Art. So I pulled that up, and And what do I hear? So this track immediately grabs me, and I'm wondering, why have I never written to this before? There's ideas that have to sit in the oven for a while. You know, it's always nice when music drops out the sky and the vocal comes and you're done with a song in a day. But that's not the way it's always going to happen.
Well, we try to do something like that in the sense of you listen to music and instinct. You hear it, you know, right? Yeah. When you write something, usually that first thing is a reaction. Like if you play a riff, somebody reacts. It's usually the best thing I've found. Cause like yourself, right. I overwrite. I think, and then 6 months down the line, I go back to the first time. I think, oh, it's all right. Huh?
Yeah.
What was I thinking? Why have I changed it? So there's 10 songs, and I noticed no instrumental because I've been seeing on forums that I know a lot of the songs have got endings that could be instrumentals and little bits of. I was making notes on the way down. One of the Stroll-On's endings almost in Everything's New. You know, no instrumental. Was that a purpose decision this time because it was just so focused?
It was, and I felt like I had a lot to say, and I wanted to say it in a concise 10-song manner, and we wanted the instrumental part of our band to be more a part of
the structure.
Yeah, and the structures of the song. And so there's parts, you know, a lot of songs go over 5 minutes, and we just kind of stretch out ideas here and there. And some ideas tonight will be stretched even further. And that was part of the fun of Play Dead. Yeah, so we just didn't do an instrumental. We didn't really have one we felt excited about to put on.
Yeah, I mean, some of the themes, obviously you've got war, but I'm interested in
Pixie Oaks?
Pixie Oaks, I'm guessing. Is it that round like Oak Street, New Orleans?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that song went through a process. That was one that started about 5 years ago. It was just a jam. We woke up one morning, Roy came in with his guitar and just started laying down that riff. And it felt really special. I started doing some la-la melody over it. And then that was it. We kind of hit a ceiling right there. I was like, it's good, but what do we do with it? I don't know. It kind of reminded us of the Pixies, and we were recording on Oak Street, so we called it Pixie Oaks. And that was as far as the song went. We shelved it. Well, as fate would have it, that song would become about my daughter, which was just born at that time, but it was the journey of me learning how to step into this new part of life what I would observe.
That's lyrically I was going to say, was it about, because for me there was a point where it sounds it's like your past meeting your daughter's future. And, you know,
absolutely.
You know, and that's where it got out. You know, so she's visiting places, or she's visiting places you were in your youth. You know what I mean? So
that's exactly what it is. Yeah, man, keen observation. And so the idea of Pixie Oaks all of a sudden became the setting for this park that I would take Amelia to like all the time growing up, and it was one I used to go to as a kid. It was this in City Park Storyland, and so experiencing this, all these great childhood memories, but now through her eyes and kind of reliving it, became a really alluring thing to write a song about, and that's what Pixie Oaks became 3 years later.
Another song that struck me lyrically, a mood, is Marching to the End at the very end of the album. Track 10.
Yeah,
and I was like,
that's now in the light of what's going on.
Well, I think it's like I'm just thinking it's like lyrically for what that, but almost like questioning what your mortality question. I mean, it's a strong. But I'd probably say If You Don't Look Down, probably my favourite Mutemaths ballad, but that blew me out of the water this morning.
Oh, thank you, man. Yeah, no, that definitely felt like the right way to end this album. I mean, this whole album is throwing the idea of life after death on the table, and I wanted to look at it from 10 different angles, and you know, whether it be the literal religious things that we're programmed to believe in the concept of life after death, to the metaphorical parts of it, or how we really experience just the end of chapters in our lives and how to cope to keep moving on, and all those parts of it. have been more relevant to me in recent years than ever before. Maybe it's midlife crisis stuff. I don't know. That's what we needed to do. Just a good old fashioned midlife crisis record. And so, yeah. And so, marching to the end. I mean, that became the mantra for this album, and being completely determined to find the slither of light that may be in the darkest of places. And where is that opportunity for a new beginning? And something here else, everything's crashing down. So yeah, Play Dead's about really.
I really think it's a pretty good mix of all 4 records.
Figure out how to make a Mutemath record that is just Mutemath in all of its Mutemathiness.
I mean, there's some wonderful synth sounds on there. How did you actually find producing it? You know, obviously you've learnt enough working. Was it something you decided at the very beginning, we're doing this ourselves, and was there ever a point when you thought, oh, we need outside, or was it just plain saying we should have done this years ago?
No, it was always, yeah, we never second guessed the idea that the 4 of us were more than capable of being able to get whatever we wanted. If any of us hit a wall, I always felt like I could call Darren, I could call Roy, what do you think? And everyone always had a positive idea to help break it through wherever it got stuck. And so, yeah, I really cherished that we had gotten to that point as a band, and it might be the last time we create like that, and I don't know, but I'm super appreciative of the product that we've won.
For the outro after the bridge, I don't feel it should go to the what is it? The pre-chorus, the Away It Goes. Like, it should just go back into the chorus. What I'd like to do is introduce those BGVs right there, the no, and let those guys have a little moment. Then we bring the chorus, the new chorus melody.
New Orleans now.
Okay.
You're in New Orleans for 48 hours. Where would you say to somebody to go and watch a band? You know, for me, I head down to Frenchman Street, DBA.
Yeah, well, you know the place.
Where would you?
Anywhere on Frenchman Street's gonna be good.
Where is your favourite place to play?
To play?
Yeah.
Well, we're not really a quintessential New Orleans band, so, you know, we're gonna wind up playing at, you know, Holland Wolf, House of Blues, you know, places like that. And we've never played Tipitina's. I'm thinking about, you were saying that you guys get to play there, man. That's awesome. My dream has always been to play the Sanger Theater. Hopefully one day that is possible somehow, even if I got to be in a Broadway musical. I want to play that venue. So, but no, I mean, I always love a show at Snug Harbor. I know that's a little more touristy, but it's a fun, relaxing place to see a show. And I've seen some great jazz shows there. One of my favorite New Orleans drummer, Johnny Vodakovich. He was head of band. Have you ever seen him play?
Yeah.
Oh, he's fantastic, and he does the in between song banter as well. He is a character. And our drummer Hutch, that's one of his heroes, of course. Hutch came up in all the New Orleans tradition. His dad was another great New Orleans drummer, which was a funny story. While Hutch, they lived next door, Hutch would be practicing for this tour. His dad comes over and says, "What you playing all those notes for, man? You sound stupid. Just keep it simple, man. What are you doing?" Like, you don't understand? Mutemath, it's a different animal here. But yeah, Frenchman Street, you can't go wrong. There's so many. It's just a great place to go. Cafe Brazil. There's always something going on. It may not be quintessential New Orleans jazz, but I don't know. It's just a great atmosphere. Brass bands on the street. So yeah, I enjoy that. You know, we just filmed at this place, which is not going to be typical New Orleans, but they're reviving the Meany Dewdrop Jazz Hall. And this is across the lake in Mandeville, which is the last original standing jazz venue in the world. Like, it's not been altered. It's exactly as it was from 1895. And they were going to tear it down a few years ago, but now they're reviving it and letting it be another venue for jazz bands to play, and it's a great outdoor sort of situation. And if you happen to be in New Orleans in the spring for those 48 hours, you should check out what's going on at Dewdrop Jazz Hall, because it's a nice environment to see a show.
Well, that was my next question. It was going to be a little secret for a local, you know, like where they could go that they wouldn't normally, you know, off the beaten track. So
Dewdrop.
Yeah.
Go get something to eat right on the lake, right there. Rips on the lake. Then go to Dewdrop Jazz Hall. Go get a snowball at Pelicans. It's a nice little three for right there. And then wait till you get back across the lake before you dive into the daiquiris and drinks. You don't want to get blistered when you got to drive that 25-mile bridge. We've had people going over it, man. It's crazy. Mainly texting and driving, but you still don't want to be drunk. All right, go ahead. Sorry.
No. It's
public service announcement.
This is what we want. You're answering all my questions because I usually it's a secret. Where would you? I say where would you choose to eat then? Because for me it's normally Snug Harbour. You know, I'd choose like I'd have a dinner at Snug Harbour, or maybe up at Oak Street next to the Maple Leaf, and it's just escaped me the name of the
Giacomo's.
Giacomo's. That's it.
Yeah, it's another great little run of streets, restaurants, and venues. We worked right there for a long time. So you can't go wrong with Giacomo's. One of my favorite places is the Upper Line, Uptown.
Yeah.
It's a great place. Dante's Kitchen. Of course, if you want to just do holding it down, Commander's Palace is always but you know, it's more expensive. But yeah, man. And for a good po' boy, you're going to
You answered the next question. I didn't know Arno did.
Lunch.
I didn't know Arno did po' boy. You know what I mean?
Oh really?
Yeah, I've been there about 3 times. And I did not know Arno did a po' boy.
Oh yeah, it's a great one. Great seafood po' boy. Yeah.
I mean, I was over the they had a crawfish festival. You know, I was there like that on a po' boy festival. I was like festival for everything.
You're right.
You know, and you know that's what I love about it. Being from New Orleans yourself, what was your first instance of music that I thought you know, music's like in the DNA, it's a fabric, it's, you know, what I've noticed when I've met a lot of people in New Orleans, whether it's to make a living or not, it's in the fabric. Music's part of life, food, music. What was it that ignited Paul Meany, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, my dad was a musician, and he had instruments laying around. He got me started on the bass guitar, he got me a drum set, we had a piano in the house, and so he would teach me songs, and really I grew up playing music in church. My dad was the music guy in our church, and so I'd back him up, and I just loved playing music. And the thing where I got hooked was when I started realizing that these old church songs, I didn't have to play the chords that were on the chart. I was like, wait a minute, I could change a few notes here, and I think that sounds better. And then all of a sudden I realized these melodies that I could reharmonize, and then that's when I was hooked. And then as I got older and began to listen to the radio and have friends who were like, dude, you should be listening to this, and it's enough of how great thou art. And then I just, my eyes were opened. You know, I remember I had a friend the first time he introduced me to the Beastie Boys. And then...
I'm going to stop you there. We always have this debate, Paul's Boutique or Ill Communication. I'm Paul's Boutique. Mark, who's with me in the band, Ill Communication.
Well, my first introduction to the Beastie Boys was Ill Communications. Yeah. As a whole album. I had heard, you know, a few cuts off Check Your Head. And I didn't really know Paul's Boutique at all. As I went back to Paul's Boutique and knowing the time that it was done, that's been hard pressed to not think that that's just got to be your favorite Beastie Boy album. But my sentimental connection will always be to Communication. It has one of my favorite instrumental pieces on there, which I can't remember the name of it. But yeah, that whole thing from start to finish was life changing for me. Jane song.
The instrumental.
It was a girl's. And that's what made me want to buy a Rhodes. I went and bought a Rhodes after I heard that song. So yeah, it was getting a Rhodes and a sampler. Very inspired by when I was introduced to Beastie Boys, Tribe Called Quest, the whole Soul Assassin thing that had happened on the West Coast, and just this new idea of sample music and what the Dust Brothers were doing. And it's like, I want to figure this out. How do you do this? It's amazing. So that's when I got hooked. And then in high school, I went to this creative arts school. You get to audition, and if you get in, you get to spend a half day at your school and then a half day at just studying music. It's a place called Nola. So those high school years of getting to do that, and while I was listening to radio and just trying to figure out how to do samplers, was a renaissance of musical time for me, and I knew that's what I wanted to do the rest of my life.
With like so New Orleans, it's been obviously after the floods, it went through a really difficult time. The Renaissance is amazing, but what I have noticed is like Meany's, places like that being closed down. It's like a catch-22. The city's evolving. But how do you feel about, like, say you go somewhere like Meany's and the Marinade bars are getting shut down because people building flats and that? It seems to be a double-edged sword, you know. And it's hard because it's evolving. It's becoming a great city again. Right. You know, not that it wasn't. It's actually when I went 6 years ago, it had that vibe back again. And now I'm seeing flats where bars were. And I'm like, as a local, how do you feel about that? You know, like noise pollution, shut the bar down because we built a flat. You're like, well, why would you move there?
Right. And it makes me feel like an old guy when I start talking about that, because it's like my attachment to the New Orleans that I've known and loved growing up, I don't want to let go of, but time is moving on, right? Change is happening. Like a big one for me, which is weird that I'm hung up on. They're about to demolish the New Orleans airport. Now, the New Orleans airport to me is home. I mean, that's what I've been flying out of and in of my whole life. And it's a pretty jacked up airport, you know. It's dated. It needs to probably. I mean, it can't compare to all these other great airports in different cities. But they're demolishing it, and that's like a part of history to me. It's the Louis Armstrong Airport, you know, and that's an example of something that I'm probably more hung up on than anyone else. But I think as a whole, New Orleans. Like they were going to destroy Dewdrop Jazz Hall a few years ago. They were going to demolish it, and the community stood up and said, no, we're keeping this. This is like history. And so there are those people who are standing up for certain things in New Orleans, like, no, it's going to stay like this. There's going to be no chains in this part of the city. We're keeping it all homegrown moms and pops. And how long can that last? I don't know. But there is a determination to try to hold on to it.
Music, New Orleans. Any up and coming artists we should be on the lookout for?
Absolutely. Tank and the Bangers. Have you heard of Tank and the Bangers? Okay. I mean, that's. Yeah, I mean, they're about to. Yeah, flip everything on its end.
Who would you compare?
Talented. It's hard to peg them. I mean, you know, you get these two dynamic girls that are singing, just with this band of just massively talented players, and it's soul. It's some kind of adaptation of soul, but it's done in a way that is in a tradition of New Orleans free-spirited, off-the-cuffness, and there's a street performer ethic that I think a lot of New Orleans natives have grown up in, just the entertainment that you go out when you're out on the town. Like and they've like taken some of these art forms and just put it together in this world-class package, and it's really exciting. It's unbelievable. They just won the NPR Tiny Desk concert thing that happened last year, and since then they've been skyrocketing. So, but if you get a chance to go to Tank and the Bangers show, go.
I'll definitely check. I mean, it's like I think I was speaking. I think it was Troy Andrews, I was speaking to him, and he said, you know, there's some stunning musicians here, but they don't want to live outside of New Orleans, and they won't export it. And there's an element of artists that, to make it work, have to leave the city to make it international.
There's something that happens for some reason innately in New Orleans musicians, which is the part of it that always bummed me out. But to just stay home, and there isn't a lot of innate ambition to go out and participate in find your adaptation in modern music somehow, and which was always a disconnect for me. But there is a new generation, I feel like, of musicians who are coming up in New Orleans who have this ambition to like put the work in to figure out how to tell the story of New Orleans and all the influences of New Orleans and bring it out in a way that can compete with the rest of the stuff that's happening in modern music. So but yeah, I think what you said is definitely spot on as far as the observation, but I want that to change. I hope it changes, because New Orleans has a very important story to tell that needs to be with every other music scene that seems to be driving music right now.
That's what for me, I'd come home from, I'd go to the music factory, 100 CDs in my bag, taking them home and saying, like, a Jazz FM, playing them, like, okay, I check these bands out, and I'd interview the band, but they were like, yeah, we're happy here, and I was like, oh man, you know, this is good, this should be heard, the rest of the world needs to hear this, but you know, they're happy. Oh, I'm happy I got me gig at DVAs, and there's a couple like Chris Royal, he's wanting to get out there, you know what I mean, and Big Sam, but I just think there's so much to give, and it's the birthplace of jazz, and you know, it's like Liverpool, music city, heritage, you know, special city, special people, resilient, and I think there's more. You know.
There's a great scene. Remember the show Treme? Yeah, there was a great scene, and it was with Stanton Moore. He was in it, and it was a few of the local guys, and they were talking. It was after a gig, and they were talking about this opportunity that they had to go jump on a tour, and they were just arguing like, man, we got our gig here. We don't need that, man. They were dividing up the money. It's like, I'll see you next week, man. And it was just, and then they go party, and that was such a spot on depiction of what it's like sometimes playing in New Orleans, and and after the gig, and there's that one guy who's like, well, we can do this and do this, and most everyone's like, nah, let's smoke a joint, I'll see you at the next gig next week.
If you could work with, for yourself, Mutemath, if you could collaborate with one artist, dead or alive, who would it be?
I'd always said James Brown, only because I just would do anything to see that guy work, how he puts together what he's put together. It's unbelievable. But I think artists like Bjork, the once in a lifetime artists, just Stevie Wonder, just to be in the same room with them, and I didn't feel like it'd be a collaboration, and it was just probably, it'd be completely selfish. I'm just there for a master class and just watching a legend try to do something. But specifically, if there was something I could try to facilitate, I would love to do a collaboration with him and something like that, and just see what would happen. Yeah, that's it.
Well, I would say my final observation is, Play Dead. We touched on it before. To me, it's like all your albums in a New Orleans style mixed in a gumbo. You know what I mean? It's come out as the ultimate Mutemath album. So I'm going to put you on the spot now. Today, what is your favourite song off the album?
It's going to be Stroll On. I really dig that song. And it kind of was the first time when I finally heard it finished. It's like, oh, this one's special for me. And a part of it is because it was a way that we found to tap into some of those original influences of that. I was drawn to music when the first time I heard Tribe Called Quest and Beastie Boys and that 90s boom bap thing that I hold near and dear to my heart. And that Darren is really good at playing that stuff. And Roy came from that same school of thought, and so us getting to explore that and kind of putting it into a song like Stroll On, it's my favorite.
I hope that this band never hits a ceiling of its evolution.
Many thanks to Paul Meany there for taking the time, especially as they'd only arrived the day before, jet lag, and like I say, a strange time for the band, but he was very, very optimistic, very positive, and I can tell you the show was off the wall. You wouldn't have guessed. The band had only been at a couple of weeks rehearsals together. Hutch's grooves were tight, Jonathan. It was an amazing show, and they made what you would have called an impossible situation possible. And the album is out September the 8th, and you can read a little bit about it. I did the article, an interview also for Get Into This magazine, so you want to read a little bit about that. And thanks Paul for indulging us in a few little secrets about New Orleans. But album Play Dead out September the 8th, and if you get the chance to catch them when you're out and about on tour, please do go and check them out.